Cause and effect is a cause and effect relationship is when something happens that makes something else happen. In other words, the cause creates the effect. The cause creates the effect. So in essence, cause is the thing that makes other things happen. Cause is the thing that makes other things happen. I'm gonna read a scripture to you. See if you can see the cause and effect in this scripture. Ezekiel 36, verses 26 through 27 says, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will remove your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. I will place my spirit within you and cause you to follow my statutes and carefully observe my ordinances. Who's the cause in this text? Watch this. I will give, I will put, I will remove, I will give, I will place, and I'll cause. Okay. Another translation said, I will take away your stubborn heart, give you a new heart and a new desire to be faithful. You will have only pure thoughts because I will put my spirit in you and make you eager to obey my laws and my statutes and my teachings. Watch this. Write this down. God is the initiator and the cause and effect for real change in my life. This is important. God is the initiator and the cause and effect for real change or transformation, rather, for transformation in my life. God is, Paul, my strength is made perfect. What is he really trying to say? What is he really saying? God, can you take this? My strength is made perfect in your inabilities. So what should you do now, Paul? If God told you that, the question is, well, what do I do now? I'm asking you, God, remove this from my life. The enemy, the message of Satan given to buffet me continually, Paul was talking about. Everywhere I go, I'm facing this opposition. I'm facing this challenge. It seems like I'm always facing challenges. Every time I try to serve you, what I'm trying to do, and God, I would be more effective. I could do more if you would just take this away from me. God says, no, I won't. My strength is made. My grace is sufficient for you, and my strength is made perfect in your inability. I am the initiator, and Paul, I am the cause and the effect for the transformation in your life. Man, what God is teaching me is really lifting so many burdens. It's actually delivering me. What I'm starting to understand about God, Paul's teachings concerning. Watch this. Philippians 1:6 says, for I am confident of this very thing, that he who begun a good work in you. I am what? I am confident of this very thing, that he who had begun a good work, where? In you. What is the text saying? God began the work that he wants to accomplish in you. God began the work that he wants to accomplish in you. I'm going to say it again. God, he wouldn't have begun it if he didn't plan to accomplish it. Man, this is going to help you with purpose. This is going to help. God, this will help you when you're tired and fatigued and you say, well, man, let me just get up and get it done. Because God, if he begun it, he started it with the intent to finish it.
Amen.
It doesn't matter what the enemy says to you. It doesn't matter what people say to you. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter your failures in the process. If we act like sometimes God started something and didn't count the cost. We act like God started something in my life and he was shocked and surprised by what just happened. Like he was shocked and surprised by what came against me. He was shocked and surprised by what's happening right now. He was shocked and surprised by the losses, by the failures, by my failures. Like we was shocked. And this is the thing. If he begun it before those things happened, I'm pretty sure he calculated it. It's like Jeremiah saying, Lord, I can't do it. I'm but of you. Don't tell me that you can't do what I already begun to do in you. So many of us quit. What's wrong? You know, but you said God told you. Yeah, but I just can't do. I just can't. I can't. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you haven't gotten to the place that you realize that his grace is sufficient and his strength is actually made perfect in your weakness. Maybe that's what he wants you to be so he can finally do what he begun to do in your life. Maybe he's trying to get you to a place where you realize that you're unable to do it because maybe it was your pride in the fact that you thought you could do it that was getting in the way. Maybe it wasn't the enemy all along. Maybe you were the enemy to your own purpose and destiny. Maybe you were the problem and God said, I know what's buffeting you, what's coming against you, what's working, and I finally got you at a place where you're saying, mercy, I quit and I give up. I can't do it, God. I'm weak. And God says, great, my grace is sufficient and my strength can now be made perfect. Maybe the place where you're ready to quit and throw and give up. And God says, thank you. I've been trying to get you to this place all along. Michael Pitts wrote a book, said, Help, God's Trying to Kill Me. Great book. God began the work that he wants to accomplish in you. He started it with the intent to finish it. Look at the rest of this verse. So it says, being confident in this very thing, that he who had begun a good work in you, watch this. Somebody say will. Highlight that word, write it down. Will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. So God not only begun the work, but that he also will complete the work that he began at the point of your salvation. In spite of your strength. Like I said, that maybe your strength was your opposition. Because, you know, as long as you think you can lift it, you won't get out of the way. You asking God to fix stuff that you won't leave alone. You ever done that? You ever prayed that? God, please help me, but you still being messy? Come on, somebody. God, fix my children's life, but you keep putting your hands in it. God, help me with the situation because I'm done with it. God says, thank you. Now I can fix it. And then when he comes, he finds you messing it again. Maybe you don't realize you're not weak enough, so I'll let it keep going. I'll let it hammer you. I'll let it drop you all the way down and get you to a point where you'll finally realize that you don't have it in you to do it, and then I can finally be made perfect. We have a false belief that we often work, and that is we think that we are to be the initiators and the cause and effect of transformation in our lives. And sometimes in the lives of those we working with. God had remind me, you ain't transforming nobody. So stop. Stop trying to fix people you can't fix. Because you can't even fix you. I see, y'all don't want to hear that. Ouch. If you could fix you, you wouldn't need me to save you. So God, he's taking a burden off me as pastoring. They don't want to listen? Psst. That's not your job. That's not your responsibility. You can't transform them. So stop trying. Oh, you're probably getting in the way. Yes, sir. You thought I called you because I found you with all your great wit. You thought it was your resume that caused me to find you. Matter of fact, I think that's why God chooses many of us before we become what we thought we were. He grabs us in our mess so you can say, look, don't play me like that. You know how he told them? Remember the disciples? I'm going to prove it. Remember in John 6, after he said, eat of my flesh, drink of my blood? Then they said, he looked around and it was just them and said, Jesus, it's just us. He said, look, didn't I choose y'all? And one of y'all is a devil. When I found you, Peter, you was a mess. You told me, depart from me. Luke 5, I'm an evil man. Right? So God is saying, look, don't y'all look at me like y'all doing me a favor because everybody left, because I gave them a hard saying. I was really trying to get them to a place of revelation, knowledge, and understanding so they can understand that I am your source. Jesus, we still with you. No, I'm still with you. Get it right. Come on. When I found the Lord, you know what I'm saying? When I found the Lord, you did not find God. He found you. That's your problem. And I found the Lord, I was a mess, but when I found him, I just got it together and I started realizing what I had to do, because what I had to do, and God says, you still ain't got it yet. See, we think that many times our false belief is that we are the initiator, we're the cause, we're the effect of transformation in our lives. And maybe this is our problem because we're trying to be the motivator that brings about the cause and effect of transformation. But then in ourselves, we can't find no motivation. Anybody have been there? You trying to find motivation in yourself? Failure. The text here lets us know that only God can be the cause and the effect of change when it comes to fulfilling his promises. Watch this. But if this is true, then why is God unwilling to help me right now? You ever been there? You feel like I'm doing what I'm doing what the word says, I'm trying, but I just feel like God, he just ain't hearing me. Like he's unwilling to help. But I have another question for you. Watch this. But who is it that is really unwilling to see transformation through? God or us? Well, sometimes we hear that, like, God, where are you? Like he left. But who's really unwilling to see transformation through? Is it God or is it us? Because the truth is, God is the one that hasn't given up. Now, let me clarify this. Even though God is the cause and effect for transformation in our life, we do have a part to play. Okay? If we're going to see him work through us and manifest his life in us, we do have a part to play. John 15:5, really quick. We talked about this before. I just want to plant this thought in you tonight so that you can work off of everything we've been talking about. Because I want to, what does it kind of look like and what is our part? Because if I talk about all, God is the cause, he's the effect, he's the initiator, God is living his life through us. The question is then kind of what does it look like and what do I do then? Do I just stand here and let God do everything? Like, what do I do? Well, John 15:5 says this. We're going to look specifically at this verse. We've already taught it before, but there's someone to pull out here. It says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him, he bears what? Much fruit. He what? Bears. Somebody say bears. So now here what Jesus is using is a physical, natural vine and a branch. He's using it to teach a spiritual truth or a truth that we have to hold on to in our life if we're going to get it and realize who he is in our life. The branch is designed to be totally dependent upon the vine for life. If you cut the branch off from the vine, the branch does what? Die. The branch dies. Since I asked you the question, what would God or what could God produce in your life if you totally depended upon God? Jesus used this example of a branch of vine. So the branch is totally dependent upon the vine. So the point here is that we who are spiritual branches are designed to live totally dependent upon Jesus, the spiritual vine, for life, right? Really, John 15 is all about restoration. Jesus, tree of life. The tree of life was a type of Christ. That's why Jesus came and said, I am the bread, right? I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the bread of life, right? I am the resurrection and the life. I am the vine. Now, if we look at it, you go back to even Genesis, you realize God created man to be what? Dependent upon him. We were created to be dependent. Man, we got to get this, because the culture has us so messed up, and we can't even see sometimes how the enemy really uses culture because it has a way to captivate the soul. Remember I told you about the soul, right? Because before, as we said on Sunday, we were really meant to live 2 to 1. God gave you a body, but the body didn't have a brain. The body was totally dependent upon the soul, and the soul was dependent upon the spirit, staying connection with God. But when man sinned, the spirit of man died and left the soul and the body solo. And the body says, well, hey, so what we're going to do? I don't know. Well, I know what I feel like doing, so just follow me, right? And so we find ourselves in this place. And so now we're completely malfunctioned because we took the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which was really the tree of independence. And it moved us from our created space, which is being dependent. Dependence isn't a weakness. Sometimes I don't like to depend on people, right? The culture gets you that way because people have let you down, be a failure. So we have this issue with dependence, but we were created to be dependent. See, this sinful inclination to be independent, that's why when things go wrong, you try to fix it yourself. That's why when you hurt, you turn to yourself, right? You get to the point, it's always, you withdraw to be independent. You try to figure it out yourself. But we were created to be totally dependent upon God. His design from the beginning was for us to depend on him. Think about this. I was thinking about this thought, and I said, man, that's why Jesus did it. Jesus spent most of his time trying to teach his disciples before his time was up on earth. What did he spend most of his time trying to teach them how to do? Be dependent. Remember when he was going to send them out? He says, take nothing. I thought about that. Like why? Now, the second time he sent them out, he said, take 2 knives. All right. He said, but the first time he sent them out 2 by 2, he told them, do not take anything. And he was sending them on a training mission. What was he trying to teach them? How to be dependent upon the Father. Why? Because that's how you live. That's what you were created for. And if you're going to live this life after I'm gone, you're going to have to live it like I live it. Somebody say dependence isn't a weakness.
Dependence isn't a weakness.
It's not. Because it's not until you depend that you can bear. You can't bear if you're not dependent. Everybody wants fruit, but the fruit are only for those who are dependent. Are you hearing me? The fruit is only for those who are willing to depend. If you won't depend, you can't bear what he produces. Because without your connection and without your dependence, there's no fruit that comes from your life. And then we find ourselves so frustrated as believers, and we want to quit, and we're tired. We want to give up. You know why? Because nothing's happening in my life. But the question is, how dependent are you?
My God.
Well, I'm very dependent. And some of us are. We're depending on other branches that are dependent. So now you're depending on people, and you're mad with people because they can't produce what you need. Come on, somebody. So watch this. That's very unfair, because you're putting a burden on somebody else to do something that they were never designed to do.
My God.
I'm leaving because you wasn't there for me when I needed you. Maybe because I was needing something too. Well, you're supposed to see. Paul got it. Study Paul's teaching. He starts off prideful. At the end, he says, man, I'm the least of the apostles. Man, because watch this, the more spiritually mature you become, the more dependent you become. God is teaching me. We've been praying, God, we want to see miracle signs and wonders. He said, you got to get to the place where you depend. See, we had it different. We thought I spend more time in prayer, I get more powerful. So then I can use the power of God. God says, that's not how it works. That's not what I taught the apostles. I taught them to be dependent. That's why when that's why at the gate called Beautiful in Acts 3, when the man says, hey, he was begging, he says, silver and gold we have none. But such as we do have, we give to you. What did they have? Fruit. They had what they were bearing. You don't believe me? Peter didn't heal him in his own name. He healed him in whose name? Right. Because he's the vine. God told me, you want to begin to see miracle signs and wonders, realize that you can't heal nobody. Then you'll see it. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Come on, we'll pray. And then you try to spend all your prayer trying to conjure up the manifestation.
My God.
And God says, oh, you're trying to produce the healing. You don't have the ability to produce healing. Watch this, but you do have the ability to carry it. Okay, y'all, okay, watch this. The word bear in the text, John 15:5 means, it doesn't mean to produce, it means to carry. The branch is the agent through which the fruit is produced. In other words, we carry what he produces. Okay. So we carry victory. We don't produce it. Okay. We carry freedom, but we don't produce it. We carry healing. We carry peace. We carry hope, but it's not my job to produce it. You see how it works? Like I can show up and I can, watch this, I can offer you healing, not because I can't produce no healing in your life, but I carry it.
Yes.
Why? Because I'm connected to the vine. Y'all, you're going to appreciate FaceTime in a minute with him when you start getting to the point where you want to get before him because you realize he's your source. And he begins to unlock what he is in your life and begin to give you revelation. And then God showed me what happens is people come in faith, and when you redirect their faith to him instead of you, because you're not the object of their faith. He is. Now let me ask you this question. My God, we carry victory. My goodness. Look. How does being dependent differ from what our culture is telling us? How is it different from our culture? What does our culture tell us? Depend on yourself? What else? By your own bootstraps, be independent. Period. Don't wait on nobody. You got to do this. Look at every self-help book that we read now. It tells you to believe in you. But then when you get what you get, watch this. Because it's not that we can't do things without God. The issue is you can't produce what God wants you to produce. You ever wonder why people who are very wealthy at some point get to a place that they're unsatisfied and they commit suicide? And you be like, why? I mean, you got everything in the world but it was still something missing in their life that seemed to be the glue to life. Like you can produce some things, you just can't produce what brings satisfaction to your life. I'll give you an example. Look at how Jesus lived. We're just about done. Look at this. Jesus is teaching them because this is how he lived. Dependent. Many of us don't pray because we're not dependent. We don't understand the need to depend. Like if I did, I would realize that, man, if I don't talk to God today, I really won't even know how to handle today. Like there are things that's going to occur that I don't know how to handle. So I might need to spend some FaceTime with God because there's some things that he may be preparing me for, that he's going to work through me. And I need to be sensitive enough and not carnal enough to get in the way and figure like I can do it. Watch this. This is what Jesus says, guys. Because the culture tells us to be independent, but Jesus' whole message was to be dependent. John 5:19, you can just write that verse down and you can look at it later. Jesus says, Jesus therefore answered and was saying to them, truly, truly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself unless it is something he sees the Father doing. For whatever the Father does, these things the Son does in like manner. So what is Jesus saying? I'm dependent on God. I only do what I see him do. I don't try to do nothing on my own. Y'all think I'm out here just because I got power. And I always thought about that. But Jesus, you're the Son of God. You can do. But he said, man, I only do what I see the Father do. I can do nothing of myself. I thought it was kind of false humility before. Jesus, you're just trying to be modest, man. Like you're Jesus. And he tells you, no, I'm here in the flesh. And I can do nothing on my own. Now, this is Jesus, and he's telling his disciples, I can do nothing on my own. I can only do what I see the Father do. But to see what the Father's doing, you got to have some FaceTime. Watch this. Another verse, John 5:30. He says it again. I can do nothing on my own initiative. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just because I do not seek my own will, but the will of him who sent me. Jesus said, man, I'm dependent. Here's another one, John 8:28. Jesus therefore said, when you lift up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am he, and I do nothing on my own initiative, but I speak these things as the Father taught me. So here's Jesus saying, I can do nothing on my own. It's not me. I live moment by moment, dependent upon the Father as my source of life for living on the earth. He's my source. Here's another one. John 14:10. Go back and look at these verses. Jesus said, man, I'm not functioning on my own life, my own power, but I'm working out of the life and the power of the Father. John 14:10 says this, don't you believe that I am in the Father and the Father in me? Wait a minute, is that the same thing Jesus says about you? I'm in you, you in me. But Jesus says, but I'm in the Father's in me. So the same way I'm demonstrating that, it's the same way that you're supposed to operate now. Me and the Father are one and we agree. So you need to be in me. Right? I'm the vine, you're the branches. I'm dependent upon the Father, you're dependent upon me. Right. He goes on to say, the words I say are not my own. What do you mean? But my Father who lives in me does his work through me. My God. Somebody say dependent. So if Jesus as a man lived in total dependence upon his Father as the source, then what do you think, or how do you think we should live? Dependent. So now it makes sense why the culture wants to create the culture who's really driven by the kingdom of darkness, who uses media and arts and entertainment to really capture the mind to teach independence. Watch this. Have you noticed that even with our children in this generation, not just our children in our homes, Rabbi Zachariah says this way, we think we're more social, but we're actually more privatized. Like we're the most socially independent people. And all the things that we had that created dependence and fellowship and community and talking, we don't do, right? Mom or dad cooks, everybody comes, gets their plate, and goes their own way. And we stay in our own worlds. We don't communicate our problems. We think, I got it. I can handle it. And you know what? When I seen this, God spoke to me. That's the enemy's plot and demise for man, even for your children. Because even when your children now figure, I got it without you, because you can only counsel them to the degree by which he counsels you anyway, right? Because the truth is, you're not even the source for your children. Like, God has been humbling me. Look, you're not, listen, you're not the source. Yeah, you're dad, but you're not the source. This is why I say this to men a lot, because men were taught to be providers. Do you know there's a lot of men in prison right now that were trying to be providers? Not everybody that's in prison was in prison because they were lazy. Some of us wouldn't understand it because we wouldn't understand everybody's struggle. The worst thing for a man is to not have any sense of purpose and not know what his gift is. And so we got a ton of men in prison right now, many times, not because they just made stupid decisions. Some made it because of they were trying to be a man.
My God.
They should get a job. God told me, see, it's easy for you to say, but go back and live in Southern Pines and see if you want to spend the rest of your life as a man working $12 an hour, washing dishes. How would you feel as a man who's supposed to provide for his family? It's easy for you to say certain things when that's not your plight. So he started to deal with me. The problem is, nobody's teaching men that you're not the provider. Because a man is made to be dependent as well.
That's right.
So if you are made to be dependent, then how are you a provider? You're depending on somebody else's, somebody say provision. So you know what a man is? Watch this. Oh my God, man, this is for you. Listen, men, their identity, they are visionaries. So take the same kid in Southern Pines, North Carolina, who's now growing, who says the only job I can get is a $12 an hour busboy or washing dishes. Man, I'm 20 something years old now, and that's all I can do. But when I realize I'm a visionary, come on, somebody. Now I got vision above that job. If I got to move somewhere else, if I got to educate myself, if I got to go to school, whatever I got to do, I got vision for my life. And vision will take me beyond and connect me to the provision that God has made for me. Amen. But when you try to teach men to be providers and they fail at providing, watch this, they now identify themselves by what they failed to do. So now I'm a failure at being a man. All because we failed to realize that all of our jobs is to be dependent. You know why there's so many marital problems is because we don't know that there's only one source. There is a third marriage workshop. Y'all want to be here. There's a third person in your marriage. Do you know that? Christ is your source for everything. But when I'm dependent on her to make me feel like a man, and she's dependent on me to make her feel like a woman, but I got issues in my own life, she got issues in her own life, and now we going at each other because she's not meeting my needs, and I'm not meeting her needs. And then we get this mindset, well, you know what? You need to be this for me. And I'm going, well, you need to be this for me. And then God says, well, first of all, y'all all both jacked up and you can't meet each other's needs if you wanted to. But if you met me as your provider and she met me as her provider, you would meet at me. We say it all the time, a 3/4 chord is not, you know, we quote scriptures all the time. 3/4 chord is not easily broken. And then after we talk about it, well, you know what you're not doing? Well, you ain't this. Well, you ain't that. Well, I'm going to tell you what you are. Well, I'm going to tell you what you are then. Here we go. So then, now I put a burden on her to not be who he's purposed her to be, but to be what I need her to be. And now, when she ain't that, I feel unsatisfied. Oh, come on, somebody. So maybe she ain't the one. And God told me, you're right, she's not. What? I am. Because when I'm the one, you're not needy in a relationship. That I'm finding out as a pastor, the number one cause of divorce is neediness. So what happens now when she needs me to do that, because, we're taught all the self-help books, you need to be her, you need to be her, you need to be this to her, you need to be that. I'm going, man, I'm a failure because I ain't this, I ain't that. So now I'm trying to be everything, but watch this, but because I cannot meet her need, because I don't have the sufficiency to do it, I'm like, dog, I spend all my time trying to be everything she needs, and it seemed like it's not enough.
My God. Here we go.
You see? And guess what it causes me to do again? Question my identity. Then I'm like, man, I'm just tired. I can't do this. Man, maybe we need to go. Maybe you need to try to find it in someone else. And then you go from that marriage into another one. Guess what? Needy. Come on, this is the Holy Ghost. I don't even know why I'm here. If we would just realize that we're all needy and place our dependency on the only one that can sustain us and bring some sense of fullness to our life, and his name is Jesus. It ain't Tanya, it ain't Tyrone, it ain't Gerald, it ain't Della. It's Christ. God told me, same thing with your children. They come to you. You're trying to give answers. You're trying to give answers. You're trying, maybe try this. Try that. We can do this. Try that. Then they go, I tried that. Don't work. Then the day you're like, I don't know what you need to do then. Well, thanks, Dad. But I start telling my daughter, you know what, sweetie? Christ is the solution for that. Why don't you spend some time? Like, it's funny because I started doing this because usually, when Ken, that's daddy's girl. And so when she don't feel well, she's like, Dad, can you just put your hands on me and lay your hands on me and pray? And now she's wondering why. I said, no, Ken, you pray. You can do it, but you're my dad. I know I am. God was teaching me something because I could have said, you're right, come here. But what's going to happen if she goes when I'm not there? If I haven't taught her the one that she needs to depend on. Listen, you lay your hands on your own head and pray, because guess what? The same one that lives in me that you've seen, I'm just carrying fruit. And you got the same vine in you. Are y'all understand? Like, we got to get out of this we all depend on him. He's our source. Our marriages would clear up if we just realize who's the source.
My God.
I'd be like, you know what? That's all right. God answered it. It's like he's, Now, two healthy, whole people meet. Come on, somebody. Look. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. So let me ask you a question. Why do we struggle with dependence on God? Really quick. Why do we struggle on dependence with God? Why do we struggle on depending on God? Anybody? We walk by sight? Good one. What else? Pride? What else? We in our feelings? Anybody else? Because God don't always give us everything he asked for. We're scared. Watch this. All of those are very, very good, right? Let me just give you three. One is because the world tells us to be independent, whether it says it directly or not, whether it be through commercials, television, radio, the co-workers. Watch this. What's passed on according to our fathers. We're taught to be independent. We're told to be independent. Here's another one. We're also taught through the world that dependence equals weakness. If you got to count on somebody, you're weak. Now, I told you there's truth in it. Yeah, I shouldn't depend. I'm not talking about whether you're dependable, meaning you count on, showing up on time. That's not what I'm talking about. All right, gotta make that real plain. Look, man, why you mad at me? You already know you can't depend on me anyway. Right? Like, no, that's not what we're talking about. Get Jesus, and he'll tell you to be faithful, and he'll produce faithfulness in your life, okay? But the world screams independence. It sends a message that dependence equals weakness. So you can't tell nobody what's going on. You have to be independent. The third thing is, and this is what I want to close with, there's a part of us that resists being dependent on God. Anybody know what it is? The flesh. That's one of the biggest reasons, the flesh. The flesh is simply an attitude within us that says, I don't need God to live life because I can do it on my own. Now, whether we say it that way or we live it that way, that's what we're saying. I can do it. I don't need God. Like, but God gonna want you, but man, if you do that for God, you're not gonna be able to live. You're not gonna be able to do it. Like, you gotta be, man. And watch this. Look at how foolish we are in this thought. Because what happens is the enemy sets us up, because if Jesus says in John 15, apart from me, you can do nothing. He says it, apart from me, you can do nothing. But then the flesh convinces us, man, your life, you ain't gonna get the most out of your life just walking with God. Like, man, you're not gonna have no fun walking with God. You're not gonna, man, there's so many dreams. You're not gonna be able to live walking with God. But me and you, we can live if we just do this thing ourselves. So that's like the branch saying, man, let's just get disconnected from the vine so we can really live. Look at that lie. Next time you think that way, go outside, cut a little branch off, and just see how it lives. See if any more fruit come off of it. It don't. Listen, his strength is made perfect in our weakness. Once you get this, see, Paul got it from there. Paul's like, man, okay, I'm gonna be dependent now. I'm gonna depend on you. In a church, can you imagine how much fruit we could carry if all the branches in here stay connected to the vine? God told me, man, you don't need to pray for revival. Stay connected to the vine. Because there won't just be freedom on you. There'll be healing on her, victory on him. Are you hearing me? Hope on her, patience on him. And now people come in and they think they're getting it from you. And you say, no, all glory goes to God, because I'm just carrying the fruit that he's producing. Are y'all with me? So I challenge you. Everything that we're learning, man, take it back. Man, let's move in this FaceTime. Spend time eating. Did anybody eat tonight? Did you get?
I got it. Amen.
Did you walk out, man, with a sense of some spiritual food, something that can help you? Amen. That's what God promises. It's from our worship and getting before his face. Some things are going to rise up in us. We're going to experience the evidential presence of God. And then we're going to be liberated. Because now you ain't going to feel the pressure to try to produce things that you can't. You're just going to posture yourself to carry it. We'll continue this next Wednesday. Because, man, when you understand that you carry the fullness of Christ, my God, think on that till we get back. The fullness of Christ is in you. The fullness.